Hello, and thank you for joining today's Control Central live webinar sponsored by Siemens. Before we begin, I'd like to let everybody know that throughout this presentation, we will be in listen-only mode, so please type any questions in the chat box located at the top right of your screen, and all questions will be answered at the end of this presentation. My name is Dominic Porte. I am the VP of Operations with Control Central, and would like to introduce our special guest, Ari Drum, who is the National Accounts Manager for Siemens. He is also our account rep for Control Central. This webinar will consist of an overview of the Siemens HIT tool, which is an extremely powerful tool that is available to everyone. Ari will show the interactive valve and actuator selection tool along with its extensive cross-reference capabilities. Without further ado, I'd like to pass the mic over to Ari to demonstrate this HIT tool.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for participating. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a introductory video on the HIT tool, HVAC interactive tool from Siemens. It's only 3 minutes long. It'll open everybody's appetite for me navigating through the HIT tool with drop-down menus and demonstrate how to select products and what products are available through from Siemens through Control Central.
Submitting an accurate HVAC proposal for today's increasingly competitive and complex projects can be a challenge. Specifying the right products is crucial for success. Siemens HIT is an intuitive online selection tool that saves time and helps you stay on budget. HIT takes product selection, project creation, and submittal features to the next level and includes Siemens' portfolio of HVAC products. With its comprehensive capabilities, HIT provides you with integrated filters and calculators to help you properly size and select the right products for your application. Review technical specifications and data sheets. Quickly create projects and schedules, and gather submittal documents for faster bidding to help you win more business. The replacement guide helps you quickly find current Siemens products for other brands and discontinued parts. And when it's time to execute your project, the built-in shopping cart streamlines ordering through Siemens iMall. Faster, easier, Siemens HVAC integrated tool. Your competitive advantage.
All right. So you saw a bunch of pictures and images compressed into 3 minutes. So now we are going to extend and demonstrate how powerful this tool is. There's one thing I can tell you in regards of this selector tool, and then after I will show you how to get to this page. This selector tool that we will demonstrate, there's actually only two so far in the industry, Belimo and us. I'm a former Johnson Controls. I have not seen a tool like that at Johnson Controls. A lot of selection have to be done manually and by calculation, which we now have for you available through this tool. So the very first thing that I would like you to know, and Control Central will, or maybe already have shared a PDF file which has a QR code for the address of this interactive tool. It is a public site, so everybody on the face of the planet can have access to this. You do not need to have an email or a registration, passcode, anything like that. No registration necessary. So if you go into Google and you type Siemens HIT tool, that's it. It's here. You can press on this one, or you can select this one, and it'll take you to this page, which I'm asking you not to bookmark yet. Here you'll see that this is the global site for the HIT portal. And if you scroll down, you'll see the different countries. And I would like you to make sure that you will select USA. Okay, you see USA here. All right. So really, if you go in Google and you type hit.sbt.siemens.com, you will arrive to this page, or the other one I just showed you, and then select USA. Make sure that when you are doing any selection or any product list pricing, that it says here US, okay? Because there is, Siemens is a international company. There's products that are available in Europe, not available here, and vice versa, okay? So when you click on select product by technical parameters, this is the page that I would like you to bookmark. This is the page, okay? So as a snapshot, this is the line card. This is Siemens Building Products in the US line card when it comes to the distribution channel. Again, distribution, products that you can buy through Control Centrals, Dominic, this is it. Okay. Of course, when we're going to be clicking on each one of those categories, we will have more choices. Once again, make sure that you have US. There's no reason why it would not say US if you have clicked on US. Okay. What I'm asking, this is a search. It's a search engine. You can type a Siemens part that is part of this line card. So valves and actuator, thermostat, sensors, pneumatic, VFDs, damper actuators, and just a handful of CAN program controllers for RTU specific. And we will go into it a little bit later on. Then you have here several tabs, products. This is a catalog tree. Again, this shows it's a different way to get to your product selection and what you would like to have. As you can see, standard controller, as I showed you, thermostat, sensors, valves and actuators, dampers, etc. Wireless and IoT. Some products here you might not have access. As you can see, we have about 14,000 SKUs altogether. Replacement guide, I will go through the replacement guide as well. This is where you can type either a competitor part number, and it'll give you the corresponding Siemens part number, and I will elaborate on that. Or you can put a end of life, an older Siemens part, and it should give you the corresponding and current Siemens part number. My project, you would need to log in, register, and that's where you can select all your different products, put it into a cart, and have it into a summary of parts in a shopping cart, and then it can be converted into orders. But you do not have access to that, but you do have access to the shopping cart. Here's my project. As I told you, is based on your shopping cart. And marketing support. This is the PDF hit that I was talking about with the QR code that you will have that is available to you. I also suggest that you upload the our HVAC catalog PDF, which is an interactive PDF onto your machine. When I say interactive, it means that that little hand, that little cursor that shows with the little hand when you're going on the page, or when you select a product and it gives you the corresponding page, you can just click on the page and it'll flip through the 600 pages automatically and land onto that particular page that you have selected in the glossary. Okay? And I'll let you discover on your own all the other different pages. If we have time, we can, towards the end, we can go in it. But this is really more marketing driven. All right. So with no further ado, let's go into product. Okay. So you're supposed to have this URL in your bookmark. Make sure it says US. Now, let's look at valves and actuators, right? So either I'm gonna click on it, either the valves come on its own, not assembled, or it comes assembled with its actuator as per your selection. You could have the choice. All right. So here, as you can see, we have 3, 6, 7, 8 different type of valve: globe valve, peak valve, pressure independent valves. We have ball valves, butterfly valve. Well, some people call it sometimes gate valve, which is not really a gate valve, but they kind of call it sometimes gate valve. Zone valve, six-way valves, our new valve, intelligent valve, and magnetic valve. By the way, magnetic valve, there's only a couple suppliers in the US that have these type of valve available. Very, very precise, very fast. But the footprint is quite something. As you can see, the globe valve shows that we have 2,750 different globe valve available. A pretty daunting task to go through all of these to select the proper valve. Same thing with the peak valve, right? Pressure independent valve. We have 610 different valves and actuator combo pre-assembled in the factory available. Again, pretty daunting task to know exactly which one do you need. And this is what we're going to go right now. I picked peak valve as an exercise to select the proper valve with the proper actuators. When I'm talking about selection, size of the valve, the gallon per minute GPM of the valve, the BTU required in the design for the application that would host this valve, the delta T, the temperature difference in and out of your coil, for instance, or from the beginning of the loop to the end of the loop. All of these are features that are necessary in the selection. And as you can see to the left-hand side here, I'll expand this. Let me expand and you'll understand. Sorry if I make anybody dizzy here by scrolling up and down. So you've got, if you know your valve size from the get-go, you can go through the valve size, and I will go through that right after we do a quick calculation of what valve you would need based on GPM, BTU, and delta T in the temperature. If you know your GPM, and then the tolerance, it's not vital. Then you've got your valve parameters, which encompasses two-way normally closed, two-way normally open, three-way, etc. Then you got your trim, brass. We could have some other selection where you have brass and stainless steel, the end connection, right? Flange, NPT, other valves, you could have female to male connection, etc. NC, which is really it's a code based on the pressure of the valve. It's a standard, right? You don't really need to know it, but it's a standard. And make sure to not confuse that. Hey, if I'm going with ANSI 250, it would mean that I have an eight bolts flange on my valve in a different valve. Okay, it's really, this code really versus 6 bolts. This code really depends on the pressure class of your valve. But by selecting the proper valve, you will have help by default. Close off pressure. Well, linear characteristic, you don't have too much of a choice. And then after you have a different feature set for different actuator, from electronic to pneumatic to mechanical. 0 to 10 for your control signal, 0 to 10, VDC, floating. You could have 4 to 20, all depending on which valve. We pick the pick valve, or we choose the pick valve to do that exercise. So you might not have all of the control signal available in an actuator. And then the supply voltage for your actuator. Okay, so let's go do an exercise on the calculation and try to figure out, well, I've been given a set of drawing because there's a new building, a new floor, design bill, or just this floor needs to be revamped, and we are going to start choosing some valve based on the BTU. Okay, so you click on calculation, and as you can see, you got different medium, water, glycol, water with antifreeze. Your GPM is also expressed in different units, US gallon per minute, liter, etc. I would expect that most of the time, if not all the time, we will be in GPM. So if you have those data, you can enter your GPM here, press accept, and it'll give you a flow. Now, if you do not have the GPM because you're being given those set of prints, click on the little calculator, and I know that you will have the BTU per hour. Again, different units, BTU per hour, kilowatt, and kilopascal, etc., or kilojoule. So most of the time we're going to be in BTU per hour. And this is something that you will know from your mechanical contractor, from your GC, from the drawing. So let's say that we've got 10,000 BTU. Your temperature difference, delta T, this is also something that you can find in the set of drawing. This is a piece of information that you will need to have from the drawing, mechanical, GC, etc. Let's say that we're putting a 10-degree delta T. All right, so we've got the BTU and the delta T. Not much info. We click on OK, and it gives you the flow per minute, 2 gallons per minute. You click on accept, and here we go. Automatically in the background, if you remember, we had 600 different valves. Well, we're down to 56. We're down to 56 because it selected 56 valves and actuator combo that with whom the valve meets the 2 US gallon per minute as your flow. Okay, I'll scroll down a little bit. So I can offset my tolerance. I can go to 30%, and all of a sudden I also have a lot less hits. I'm at 56. Valve parameter, as you can see in this selection of flow, I have, and valve, peak valve, I have two-way normally closed. You see that little grayed out here? It says that there's 28 out of the 56. There's 28 two-way normally closed and 28 two-way normally open. Brass don't have too much of a choice. As you can see, it's the total. There's no stainless steel in the peak valve selected here. The end connection, which is here, NPT. And remember, I talked to you about this pressure class. I don't have too much of a choice. By default, it will give you, it knows that it's NC250 as a pressure class. Then the close-up pressure, that's also something that you can choose. There's not really any, I mean, there is calculation, but we're not going to go into that exercise here. This is something that you can collect from your contractor or even from the set of drawing. Okay. And then you have the selection of the feature set selection for your actuator. As you can see, they're all electronic actuator. In the peak valve, we do not have any electromechanical, mechanical, or pneumatic, electronic. And here you only have two different control signals, 0 to 10. All right, so 0 to 10, it could mean that at 0 voltage, the valve is closed, and at 10 VDC, the valve is fully open. And then everything in between, right? At 5 VDC, maybe you elect to have the valve in the controller, have the valve to be half open. Fail safe, no or yes. That would also mean if you want a fail safe, a close or open, all depending on the design of the application, right? And then your voltage for your actuator. So if you remember, we clicked on that little calculator when we went into the calculation, and because we didn't have any of the flow, we had the BTU and the delta T. So let's now say that we're going to remove all the filters. And why is it not? Oh, here it is. Reset calculation. And we remove all the filters. 610 units. And now we know remember, we know the GPM. It was a 2 GPM. That's another way to do the exercise, right? You know the GPM. And then you know your size. 3/4. I'm down, if you remember back then I was at 56 now and I'm at 42 because I'm down to 3/4 inch valve versus 1/2 inch valve. Let's say that I want a tolerance of the 30%. I'm down to 28 hits. Let's look at our valve parameter. In the 28 hits, right here, I have 16 piping package available. It means that this valve, all of these valves can be ordered already mounted and set into a piping package, which is very easy for the contractor to install. No brazing, the piping package, and then I will show you that in a couple minutes, comes with the aerator, with the bypass, etc., and the valve already mounted. A two-way normally closed, two-way normally open, brass, etc. So we have a selection now to make, right? So I want two-way normally closed. So if you remember, we were at 42 valves. Now we're at 14 valves and actuator combo. We decided to go, or we need to go with two-way normally closed. They're all brass, they're all NPT, they all have that pressure class. And now my pressure, my close-off pressure, I'm electing for a 200 psi. I need to be at 200 psi based on the design and the application. All of a sudden, I've got six hits. And as you can see here, you got a little bit of the abbreviation, right? 3/4 peak valve, 3/4 peak valve, 2 gallon per minute, 0 to 10, NSR, non-spring return, NC, normally close. SR, spring return. If it was an NO, it would be normally open. All right. So here's the normally open. I can click on the normally open. As you can see now, you've got normally open. Spring return. It means if it shuts off, it'll, with the spring, will bring the valve, the actuator in the spring will bring the valve to its initial position. Either it's fully normally open or normally closed. Now we're going into the actuator. Like I said, electronic, 0 to 10 or floating. Let's take a 0 to 10 volt, right? Floating is a 3-wire. It floats based on your programming scheme. Let's take the 0 to 10. Fail safe. Let's say that we want to fail safe. It means that we've got a spring in the actuator, and if there's a failure, if there's a electrical shutdown, the valve will fail into its original position. The spring in the actuator will close or open the valve in its initial choice, normally open or normally closed. Like for instance, in the north, you might want normally open because you want to keep the flow. You don't want to freeze the pipe. 24 volt. Let's see what we have now. We've got two valves, right? As you can see, 3/4 peak valve, 2 gallon and 2.5 gallon, right? I mean, they gave me two valves because the delta T the delta P is very close in the tolerance, so it spit out two valves. 0 to 10, spring return, normally open. And those valves also come in a piping kit. So let's click on the valve. By the way, you might wonder, this pricing here, this is the list price. Okay, so you all have your pricing with Dominic with Control Central, but this is the list price. Okay, so if we click on this valve, we have all the details that we want on this valve from the documents, technical specification, accessory, and what is this valve consist of. Here you have your list price, you have the model number, the part number, and the warranty. Model number is or the part number, I'm not going to confuse you, can be used to place your order. Well, through Control Central, they might have a different a part number ordering scheme. But this is your model number of the valve as well as your part number, right? When you click on technical specification, and I'll go back up to the document, you have here a summary of what the valve and actuator combo consist of, feature set wise, right? Design wise, 3/4, two-way, it's a globe valve, two-way normally open, brass, if you remember, 200 psi close off. If you remember, we selected that. We selected also the control signal 0 to 10. It's a 24 volt feed that you need to the actuator. 2 GPM, if you remember, we went through this calculation. Okay. I'm going to close this just to make more room. On the document side, you have all the document, all the data set for the valve and for the actuator. So either it comes as a PDF. I can click on the PDF. It comes with a PDF with all the different valve and all the different codes that you use for your submittal. Okay. Or this is really neat. I use this a lot. This, if you click on this, it'll open up, it'll open up an email with the hyperlink, with the HTTP, the hyperlink of the document, the data set, the document that I showed you a little bit earlier in the PDF. Okay, so you literally can cut and paste all of these URL here and put it into your email and send it over to your contractor, to your customer, to your GC, instead of attaching all of those PDFs. The data sheet on the valve, data sheet for the actuator, and then your installation instruction. All those documents again are accessible from anywhere and from anybody. Okay. See, you can export all of those documents into your email into a document. We went through the technical specification, the accessories available with this valve. Plug kit for the PIC valve. All right. Other valves, globe valve, zone valves, you could have a lot more accessories, right? Weather shield, etc. And I'll show you that with an actuator. And this is really great here. This assembly consists of the valve and the actuator. Do you remember when I told you earlier, these valves are pre-assembled, factory pre-assembled, but you could very well order them separate, not pre-assembled, and so receive just the valve or just receive the actuator. So here, and I said this is really great because again, for some other valves, you could have a lot more accessories. If you use those PDFs with any of our competitors or even us, you will see at the end of the PDF, you could have a table. Sorry, I'll make you dizzy. Maybe not this, hang on a minute, not this one. Well, here it is. You can see the different actuators, right? You see all the different actuators. So it looks like that you would have to go into the document, either the valve or the actuator, and look at the different actuator. Oh, I want a 0 to 10 or floating, a non-spring return or spring return. Well, in this case here, it tells you what is this valve and this valve actuator combo assembly consists of. And again, you can do the same thing. You can click on it and get to the actuator only. Because let's say that the actuator needs to be replaced. The valve is in place, already in the building, works perfectly, but you need to just replace the actuator. So you could do the same exercise that I did, find some shortcut and get to the actuator. Same thing, you've got your document specification for the actuator and the accessories for the actuator conduit. Okay, you got your pricing, you got your model number, and you got your warranty, your list price and your warranty. Again, floating 0 to 10 spring return. And it's really the same thing. If I go back to, if I click on product, if I go to another valve, here, If I click on globe valve, right, I have almost 3,000 hits, and it's the same principle. I click on my calculation if I do not know too much data, but I have my BTU data, and I've got my delta T data. I can do that unless you got your GPM, etc. Same principle, okay? Same thing. What I say to my attendees is that if you know how to do e-commerce for your personal needs, you know how to use this hit tool, right? With this left-hand side drop-down menu giving you the different choice of design for your valve and actuators. All right, let's go now into the actuators. So this is your valves and actuators. Yes, you will have some actuators, damper actuators, are also the same for valve actuators. Different linkage, but some of them are the same. Let's do the same exercise for damper actuators. So here, this is what we offer. And I'm sorry, but this picture is very wrong. We do not offer the whole fire damper. We only offer, we're a damper actuator. We only offer fire and smoke damper actuators, okay? Not the whole assembly. Air volume controller, these are like VAV actuator controller, variable air volume boxes, damper actuator, and our pneumatic line. So let's go into our electronic damper actuator. So here, well, I have a lot of damper actuator. I've got a 154 from spring return, non-spring return, from 132 pound inch to 310 pound inch to 20 pound inch, all depending if it's spring return, non-spring return, and all depending on the strength of the actuator. So here we can calculate the torque, right, which is the strength of the actuator, the torque, how much torque, how much pound per inch the actuator needs to have in order to close open a set of dampers. So let's say that we know the area of our damper. Let's say a 3x3. What is it? 9? 3x3. It's a 9 square feet damper. And let's say that we have an airflow of 2,500 feet per minute. And we have 4 choice, open blades, parallel blades, seal or no seal. The seal is the little gasket that you've got at the end of the blade, and when they close, it's really tight. And that's the little rubber gasket that you have at the bottom of the blade. So let's oppose blade with seal. And it gives you here a 67.5 inch-pound for the actuator. If you remember, we were in the 3-digit hits. Now we're only in the 2-digit hits. And it's the same thing here. You know now the torque of your actuator. That's just the most important attribute that you would need for your actuator. So it's in the 67, greater or equal to 67 family. And now you got to choose non-spring return or spring return. Same principle, right? There's a power failure. Do you want the damper closed or you want the damper open? So let's say that we're going with spring return. So now I'm down with 30 hits. Now I know my control signal 0, 10, 0, 10, or 2 to 10, right? It's got a 2 to 10 here. As you can see, there's only 4 of them in that with this attribute that would allow you to do 2 to 10. 2 position, there's 11 of them. 2 position, it's on and off, open or closed, right? And floating, 3 wire, as it says, it floats between close and the open, depending on your control scheme. 120 volt or 24 volt. Let's say that we're choosing 24 volt, and I'm sorry, let's say that we're going with 2 position. All right. Plenum and standard. This is really the whip, the whip, the electrical wire of the actuator here that would be plenum rated or non-plenum rated. Okay, so let's say that we're going plenum rated. Fail safe, not too much of a choice from all that selection. We only have yes, so it'll fail in the position that we originally, because it's got a spring return that we originally chosen. Position feedback, no, and scalable control, no. Scalable controls input, no. All right, so we've got 2 hits here. Same thing. You click on the actuator itself, and you've got all of your documents, the PDF or the URL. Your technical specification gives you a snapshot of what is the actuator all about, all its spec, and the accessories. Do you remember when we were in the valve, we didn't have too many accessories? We've got a lot of different accessories, right? All the way to a weather shield assembly for the actuator, something that you all must be familiar or seen it in the past. Okay, here it is again, weather shield, etc. So same thing here, right? You click on your option, and it'll give you your option with the documents associated to it. Again, your pricing, your list price, your model number, part number, and your warranty. Okay, I'm going back to the original page. For sake of time, you can add it to your cart and then pull your cart. But for sake of time, right now, I'm not going to select this yet. Now we can reset the calculation. So we're back to remove all filters. We're back to our original 154. And of course, now if you know the torque of your actuator, you can bypass all that calculation, that torque calculation that we went through, and just go by your selection if you know what exactly some of the attributes of the actuator that you know, and you can click on them in this left hand side. Non-spring return, 44 inch pound, 2 position, right? I'm on a 24 volt. I'm on plenum rated. The whip, fail safe, auxiliary switch. Let's say yes, it's auxiliary switch that would be connected to your controller, and it can give you a feedback of the position of your actuator, if it's open, if it's closed, if it's in the middle, etc. Scalable control, position feedback, or here it is, and so it gives you one selection out of the 100, close to 200 actuators. Okay, so same thing, documents, specification, and your set of accessories. Same thing, click on the PDF or on the URL, and you will have the URL for that specific datasheet technical instruction or its PDF. Declaration of conformity or environmental declaration. You also have the certificate here, and then the installation instruction. Now, these were the valves and actuators and damper actuators where you have some selection to do based on some calculation that either you have or that you can do yourself. If we look at the thermostat, communicating thermostat or standalone thermostat. There's no calculation in this with the thermostat, right? It all depends on the attributes that you choose for the thermostat based on your application, based on the design. Is it a 2-pipe fan coil? Is it a 4-pipe fan coil? Is it for a heat pump, or is it for a rooftop, or an air conditioning unit, a rooftop, for instance? As you can see, this is communicating backnet, right? The little BN here would say backnet. Now you're going to ask me why not it say backnet here? Well, I don't know. This is product management, but I can tell you that this is backnet, and this is communicating backnet MSTP. So same thing. Click on it. You have your list price and you have your part number, the Siemens part number for this specific thermostat with its warranty. Click on the document, same principle, right? We have the data sheet, either PDF or a URL, and then you've got some of the basic documentation. There's a little lock here because it could be that it is not accessible to everybody. It's just that we're trying to keep our competitor away from our tools, right? But we can provide you this through Dominic, okay? Declaration of conformity, environmental declaration, installation instruction, same thing, okay? Now, we only have 2 thermostats, but I guarantee you that the feature set of those thermostats will meet feature set of some Honeywell thermostat, for instance, where you've got 150 stats to do and select. Let's go back to our thermostat, standalone thermostat. We've got a little bit more thermostat. We're not the Honeywell of the world in thermostat, but once again, I guarantee that the feature set in the thermostat will meet quite a few Honeywell thermostats. A lot less selection to be done. As you can see, this thermostat, you might recognize it. It comes in 2 flavors. Communicating thermostat, backnet, or standalone. And again, we do our selection, same thing, electric heating, for instance, set point knob, and then 24 volts. So I have here two different thermostat hit with their corresponding list price, and same thing here. You click on the stat and you have the proper documents for this specific thermostat. Your list price, the model, and the warranty. So let's go back to this main page, which is, like I said, it's our line card available through distribution, available through Control Central, available through Dominic. Same thing with the sensors, same thing with the VFDs, pneumatic, and those controllers. Let's go through the VFDs just quickly. The VFDs, These VFDs, if you remember about 10, 50, 20 years ago, the term macro drive came out in our industry. Very small footprint compared to a normal drive or a VFD without the word macro drive in the front. But but those macro drive, because of their footprint and the real estate that they require, do not have a contactor bypass built in it. That's a big difference between a macro drive and a drive like a Danfoss full-blown drive, right? Your contactor bypass. Our drives are rated 115 to 575, for instance, for the Canadian market, 175. Single phase to three phase, and the range of our drives going from fractional horse, quarter horse, all the way to 30 horse. Okay. Different frame. If you guys are familiar with drives, depending on the horsepower, they will correspond to a different frame. In the frame, you could have a couple horsepower because it used the same frame, because it's not the horsepower also dictate a little bit the size of the enclosure, and so the size of the enclosure is related to the frame. Okay, so same thing. Let's say I click on the single phase 115 1 horse, click on it. I have my pricing, model number, part number, my warranty. Be careful, the warranty on it is 12 months and no longer 60 months, 5 years, like on our valves and actuators and some of our sensors and stats. And same thing here, you click on the documentation, you've got your PDF, and then you've got your URL, and the accessories for our VFDs are all listed here. This is really great because you do not have to open the submittal sheet, right, and look at all of the accessories that usually you have at the bottom of the sheet, and you have to open the PDF and then start selecting what you need to select. You go into our tool, you click on the accessories, and you have all the accessories available for this drive. Those drives are IP21, IP20, and they would be requiring a NEMA 1 kit if you don't want to put them into an enclosure, or if they the way they are right now, they can be mounted directly into an RTU, for instance, a rooftop, without any NEMA 1 enclosure, because the rooftop is already an enclosure. But if it's mounted on the wall, not an enclosure, then I'm just giving you a little rule of thumb here, or a little tip. You would need a NEMA 1 enclosure. Okay, some of the spare parts, EMC filter, EMC filter, etc. All right, DIN rail mounting kit, etc. All right, let's go to the last tab, which is the replacement guide. So this replacement guide, I want to warn you, attendees here, this is not an encyclopedia with tens of thousands of part numbers from our competitors that you will insert here, type here, and it will give you the corresponding part number with Siemens. We can't. The database would be way too big. What I can tell you is that there's about close to 7,000 Siemens part number that are running behind this database that would correspond, some of them correspond to maybe one manufacturer part number, or crosses with one manufacturer part number, or some of them would cross with several manufacturer part number. I've seen the database running, which is an Excel sheet, and some of those part number could be crossed with 7 different other manufacturers, from a Belimo, from a Johnson Controls, from a Bray, from a Honeywell, etc. So let's see, just for the last couple of minutes here, let's type a part number that you have, Let's say I'm a former Johnson Controls, so I kind of remember this is a Johnson Control damper actuator. So let's click on this actuator. As you can see, and I hope you appreciate that we're not advertising our competitor. We're not going to put nothing says here that this is a Johnson Controls actuator, but if you got the part number, it'll give you the equivalent in Siemens actuator. Okay, so you click on it, you're back to that page that you remember a little bit earlier with all the proper information on that actuator itself, from the pricing, from the model number, the warranty, and all the documentation. Okay, and its accessories. Okay, you can type here, let's say, what I think a Belimo would be. Yeah, let's type a Belimo it's a valve. It should be, yeah, it's a Belimo. And so the corresponding valve to us, valve actuator, is this one. This is the assembly. Okay. We can, let's say if they got any, oh, here it is. I think this is some Honeywell. Here's a Honeywell valve and actuator, and this is its corresponding Siemens valve and actuator. Same thing, you can type an old Siemens part number. Here it is. It took time to wake up. This is maybe an old Siemens part number, and this is its replacement. I don't know, I just typed a random part number. But that was an old Siemens. This is better here. Wow, this is the new part number. That would have maybe also can host other actuators, right? That's a two-way valve. Then you would have to go into the document to find your actuator. You can take this part number, right? Go into the product. I bet it's going to make me lie. And it gives you the different valve. As you can see, they're all two-way half-inch, but normally open, different fixture, modulating. If we click on it, then we will have more details on the valve. But I believe we're on top of the hour. That should be it. And I really hope that you will use this HIT tool, navigate through it. Doesn't take long to know about it and navigate through it. But this is a wealth of information, a wealth of all of the products that we are able to sell through this distribution channel through Control Central, through Dominique.
Thank you, Ari. I appreciate you coming on and showing us this tool. I'd like to give a special thanks to Ari from Siemens and taking time out of his busy schedule to come do a live webinar for Control Central. I can't say enough about the versatility of this tool, and the good thing is it's available to everyone. So it's not just us as distributors. It's available to everybody as a contractor, end user, facilities management company. Everybody, it's available to everybody. So please feel free to contact us here at Control Central on pricing availability on Siemens products. And then I also want to thank all of our customers for attending the webinar, and I wish everybody a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.